Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Monday. Glad you're here and hope you had a good weekend. Today's Red Mic message is the number on the ground. Sometimes the other guy's just not wrong. He's just standing somewhere else. And you've probably seen the picture, two guys standing on the opposite sides of a number painted on the ground. One says a 6, the other says a 9, and they're arguing because both are absolutely certain they're right. And they are, and that's the problem, but it's from their own perception. Your perception is your reality. YPIYR. From where each of those guys are standing, that's exactly what they see. And I think that explains a lot. Well, not just about right and left, but also about older and younger people today. A lot of guys my age grew up believing in a pretty simple formula. You pick something, you get good at it, you work hard, you be dependable, you stick with it, and eventually you build something. Not just a paycheck, but an identity. Then the world changed, and we forget this is not the first generation that watched the ground move underneath it. A century ago, being a blacksmith or a farrier was a serious career. Horses were transportation. They worked farms, pulled wagons, moved goods. Imagine being a 45-year-old blacksmith when automobiles and tractors started taking over. Maybe your dad taught you the trade. Maybe his father taught him. And then suddenly the most important machine in town didn't eat hay, it took gasoline. And the kid down the street who could fix an engine was becoming more valuable than you were. And we've seen versions of that story ever since. Telephone operators, typesetters, film processors, factory workers. Technology didn't suddenly start disrupting careers when somebody invented artificial intelligence. The tools change, the disruption doesn't. There's an interesting twist this time, though, I think, because while we're worrying about AI eliminating jobs, good old Mike Rowe has spent years pointing towards millions of jobs that we can't find enough people to do. Electricians, plumbers, welders, HVAC technicians, machinists, linemen. And his Mike Rowe Works Foundation says there are more than 7 million high paying jobs that don't require a 4-year degree. And for every 5 skilled tradespeople retiring, only 2 are entering the field to replace them. 5 out, 2 in. That's more water going out of the bottom of the bucket than what we're pouring into it. And for decades, we told kids the successful path went through college and into an office, and the trades were plan B or C. And now some of those plan B jobs are looking awfully good because AI can write a pretty decent explanation about why your air conditioner isn't working. It still can't climb out onto your roof or up into your crawl space or your attic in August and replace the compressor. It can tell you why your toilet won't flush, but it can't crawl behind it with a wrench. The physical world is messy. I mean, that was the whole idea behind dirty jobs. Things break. Somebody still has to stand there, look at the problem, and figure it out, and then fix it. Maybe we've been telling the blacksmith story wrong. The blacksmith didn't become obsolete, the horse did. The man still knew tools, metal, machines, customers, problem solving, hard work. The skill changed, but the value of being skilled didn't. And that's where the younger guy enters the story. His career may not look like ours. When an older man says, work hard, pay your dues, stick with it, the younger guy may reasonably ask, stick with what? We look at him and we think he's impatient. He looks at us and thinks that we're clueless. Let's go back to that number on the ground. Somewhere around 1915, I bet there was a darn good blacksmith looking at a young mechanic and wondering why the kid didn't want to learn a respectable trade. The kid wasn't lazy. He could see where the horses were going. But the blacksmith still knew things that the kid needed: how to work, how to master a craft, how to solve problems, how to show up when somebody depended on him. The technology changed, but those lessons, they didn't. And that's what worries me about the distance between generations. There used to be places where generations naturally mixed: work crews, churches, scouting, volunteer groups, coaching staffs, neighborhoods. A 25-year-old and a 55-year-old didn't schedule a mentoring session. They just wound up standing next to each other doing something. and eventually they talked, we've lost some of those opportunities. We need them back. The older guy shouldn't say, here's the map, follow it. Well, let's face it, some of our maps are still on paper. The younger guy shouldn't say, your map is worthless, because we've walked farther. We've stepped in some holes. We've learned some things along the way, but he probably sees some things that we don't. He sees where the road is headed, where those horses are going. So maybe the conversation starts here. Here's what I've learned. Here's what I'm seeing. What do you see where you're standing? That's not surrender, that's perspective. Don't confuse a disappearing job with disappearing opportunity. Don't confuse your profession with your identity. Experience still matters, even when part of your map is outdated. You need to remember that sometimes leadership is simply being the first guy willing to get out of his chair, walk around the number, and ask, okay, what are we going to build together? That's today's Red Mike message. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you have a good week. Thanks for being here. I'll see you again tomorrow. Give me a like, a follow, and a share. I'd appreciate it a lot. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And until next time, don't forget, as always, life is short. Drink the bourbon.